thanks for tuning in. This is Matt Santos of The Mile High Show. You are listening to episode 160, and I am going to apologize right off the bat. This was recorded about 3 weeks or so ago with my guest today, Justin Tietjen, while we were driving up to Las Vegas. So we recorded this in the Mile High Show mobile studios, that maroonish, reddish, pinkish van I drive, while we were traveling down the I-40/Route 66 on our way to Las Vegas. Now, this our most recent episode was 159 with Brant Tobler to talk about his book Free Roll that we recorded. Both Justin and I recorded with Brant in his room at the MGM Grand just an hour or so before he took the stage at Brad Garrett's Comedy Club at the MGM in Vegas. On our way out there from Chino Valley up to Vegas, just kind of on a lark, Justin and I plugged in our little recorder there and recorded this episode. My goal was to put it up immediately following Brant's episode, but quite frankly, I got a little lazy. I've been working a lot at night, so my nights have been pounded because I've been keeping my days fairly free because my son has been off the last couple of weeks from school. My son Anthony, who is 8 years old and a second grader at Mingus Springs Charter School in Chino Valley, they're on their winter break for just a little over 2 weeks, so he goes back in a couple of days, but I've cleared my calendar for the most part during the day so that I can spend some time with Anthony, and then that meant working at night and not a lot of time to record episodes. So we're going to catch up again with getting some recording done over the next couple of weeks and get back on track. But hey, what I did, the goal here is for the Mile High Show to be a weekly show. And I just figured it out. Our first launch was just over 3 years ago in December of 2014. So you figure 52 weeks a year, 3 years, that's 156. Am I doing my math right? 156 episodes is what our target is, and this, 3 years later, is 160. So we're right on target for one a week. We've had some special drops, some weeks where we've done more than one, and we've had, of course, like similar to the last few weeks where we haven't had any. But I think we're on target, and especially since this is all free, take what you get. I enjoy doing it. I like I said, I've been a little lazy in getting them out the past few weeks, but we're gonna change that going forward in 2018. Got a couple fun ones planned up, and some more trips down to Phoenix. We've got a trip planned back to L.A. and up to Northern California as well. So we're going to get some recording done in the next few months on the road, having some fun. Now, again, Justin Tietjen, he is the guest for today's 160 episode. He is a Phoenix-based comic who grew up in Tucson, spent a little time in Vegas, and now resides in the Phoenix area. We asked him to plug some of his shows, and again, I apologize. At the end of the episode, he plugs his once-weekly show every Thursday night at 9:30 at Spinellis Pizza in Tempe on Mill Avenue. That's a 9:30 show, booked show with an open mic that follows, and he has some of the great local comics on there, as well as some of the up-and-comers, the open micers following. That is every Thursday at 9:30 at Spinellis Pizza. There's a link to that in our show notes, so click on that, along with links to Justin's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram feed, so you can follow Justin's career, follow his shows, as well as take a look at his photography. He's an avid photographer. He's got a great eye. We talk a little bit about that. But anyway, at the end of the show, I asked him to plug some of the shows, and since we did record this about 3 weeks ago, the shows he mentioned at the Crescent Ballroom and House of Comedy in Arizona, House of Comedy AZ in Phoenix, have since passed. So, Justin, I apologize for that. Again, I was lazy in getting this show up. But follow Justin on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter so you can find out where he's performing, and go out and support that. Support local comedy. There's some great artists out there, not just the comedy, local music, local arts of any kind, local dramatic arts. There's a lot of fun stuff out in your community. Go out and experience it. Some of it won't be for you. Some of it's not for me. Some of it is pretty specific, but go out and encourage these folks to express themselves. We've got some great music open mics up here in the Prescott area, and some great musicians who just plug in and set up a mic and a stool and perform at restaurants and coffee shops. Get out there and experience some of that. Go out and check out some of the storefronts and restaurants that hang local artists' work on their walls. You'd be surprised at the talent that's out there if you're not already familiar with it. So one of those talented individuals is Justin Tietjen, our guest today on 160 of the Mile High Show, recorded in the vehicle driving up the 40 as we headed to Vegas. So sit back and enjoy. We'll hear about Justin's photography. We'll hear about his aspirations in college. We'll hear a little bit about his disability, muscular dystrophy, that apparently he knows nothing about other than how to use it to get out of traffic tickets. So sit back, enjoy my conversation with Justin Tietjen, and go out, experience some fun, have a good time, relax. If you have kids, spend time with them. That's what I did this past couple of weeks. And even though we didn't get any podcasts out, I wouldn't have traded it for anything. 5 days during the week and all weekend hanging out with an 8-year-old. There is nothing like that to energize you. So, Justin, thanks for sitting down in the car with me, and enjoy my talk on the highway with Justin Tietjen. How's that sound? Is that all right?
Yep, sounds good.
Sounds good? Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to wear. You can wear them if you want. I don't care.
Whatever. What's that S for?
Seligman.
Oh.
Cruising down Route 66. So this is a homecoming for you, huh?
Going back to Vegas? I mean, I guess.
When were you out there? What years?
I don't know, 2012.
Oh, okay. How old are you?
29.
29?
Yeah.
Man.
Gotta be 30 in March.
March. You're old.
You sure about that?
I'm young because I have a young kid at home. He's only 8.
Oh, so you're saying all I gotta do is get...
No, you get older then. See, all my buddies have kids that are like grown. They have grandkids already.
Yeah.
But I'm young because I got an 8-year-old. So when did you start doing comedy? What year?
I don't know, 2014. It's been like 4 years. So...
Grew up Tucson?
Yeah, Tucson.
What, is that born and raised there? Or?
Yeah, I went to everything through college.
Yeah.
There.
What's family situation like? Brothers and sisters? What do you got?
I got a sister. Her name's Sedona. And she lives in Boise with her fiance.
Oh, nice. Oh, I think I've seen pictures of her on like your Instagram and stuff.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So why'd you start doing comedy? What got you the nerve to get up there and do it?
A lot of my friends were like, when you insult me, you cheer me up. And so it's like, well, that's kind of cool. I take a negative into a positive. And then I also met another guy that like I was completely in character when I met him, and he was like, dude, you were put on this earth to do something in comedy. So I started doing that, and then also I would watch like Comedy Central, and like probably everyone else, I thought, well, I'm funnier than this guy.
Who were you watching when you were a kid? Were you a big comedy fan growing up?
Not really.
No?
I was really into Gabriel Iglesias.
Yeah.
Joe Coy.
Yeah. He's a Vegas guy, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's from Vegas.
Yeah. Steve Simone, we were talking about before. He's I've gotten to know him pretty well.
Yeah.
from the store, and he comes through House of Comedies, like his Phoenix Club. He plays that every year. But he toured with Iglesias for quite a while.
Yeah, I saw he did. I think he did a bit about Willy Wonka on his stand-up revolution.
Yeah, he's a good guy. That Steve, I like him a lot. What? Who would you start up with in Tucson?
No one.
No one?
So I mean, I started doing comedy in Tucson, but while I lived in Vegas, so I would go see my parents, and I would do comedy down there because that's where I grew up, so I was comfortable there. But it was like a month or two in between each time.
Gotcha.
So I don't really count that time. The time I started down there. I started when I moved to Phoenix. I started there. I did stand-up Scottsdale. I did the side room, and I remember. I don't remember who. Oh, I remember some guy went on before me, and he just killed the crowd. Like, it was all about, he did a joke about about the morgue or something, and he just completely killed the crowd. And, but it did, I didn't really think of it that much. And I went up and brought the crowd back, which was weird because that was, my first time doing it. I did a joke about how instead of going to the gym, we should just stay home and And so that was my first joke. My first bit.
Burning calories that way?
Right. And then the last week the week after that, I did a joke about chicks in yoga pants, and how yoga pants have a weight limit and stuff. And so there's the owner of a bar, McFadden's in Glendale. And he was like, why don't you come and party? Because he had an employee night, something.
Yeah.
That's why he was there. So he was there with a bunch of chicks.
That's that one out by Stir Crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's like, why don't you come back and party with us? And I was like, all right. And I don't know why I didn't think. I was like, I'll drink, so I'm not going to drive. I'll just go with you guys in your van, which was a bad idea because I had nowhere to stay after.
I was going to say, how'd you get home?
Yeah. Well, I went with a comic, and he was like, I'll stay. At the end of the night, he was like, I'll stay here. You can have my money, and you can take a cab back. And I was like, all right. I was $7 short on the cab. The cab was like 87, and I only had 80. Then the night after that, I did a joke about, because the first two times I asked my relatives to come, and I did great. Then the following open mic, I did a joke about how I could, I forget. I totally forgot what it was about. But anyways, I bombed, and that was the last time I asked my relatives to come to anything.
Yeah.
Cause
who was there?
My aunt and my uncle.
Yeah, not your mom and dad?
No, well, because they live in Tucson. So.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, and then I've been doing comedy consistently ever since.
So what are the show? What, you run the Spinelli show?
Yeah.
Plug it. When is it? And
it's every Thursday at the Spinellis on Mill, 420 South Mill.
Is that pizza place?
In Tempe, yes, pizza place. It's at 9:30. Yeah, every Thursday.
Who is that? A book show? Open mic? Sign up?
It's a book show. The book show starts at 9:30, and then there's an open mic after the book show.
Nice. How long you been doing that?
Like a year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, a year. You remember Mike Kennedy?
No, I might if I know him by sight.
He looks like Jesus. No? Okay. Well, I started it with him, then he moved.
Oh, wait. Yes, I do know him.
Yeah, he moved back to Wisconsin. So I basically just took it over.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it. So, yeah, that's the story behind that.
So where are you going with your comedies? Do you anticipate you see this going full time? Is this something that you think you can do as a as a sole income?
I hope. Yeah, that's what I hope.
Yeah, that's your goal.
Yeah, that's my goal.
What kind of when you? Yeah, 'cause we were talking before we plugged in. I mean, I've dabbled with it a little bit. I'd like to get a little more serious about it, but for me, and that's why I think it's taken so long for me to do this, because it's not. I want to do it. I want to get back on stage more as a way to hone my skills for other aspects of my life, whether it be for the podcast, get more comfortable talking on mic, or through the radio show I do, things like that, and expand that a little bit.
Yeah.
And, just in talking with a lot of you guys, a lot of the comics through Phoenix and the ones that come through town from all over the country, it's like a calling for most people. It's like they have, like you were saying, you do just about anything for 5 minutes of stage time.
Yeah. Like stage time is like money to a comic.
It's like that with me for photography. I mean, photography's been my bread and butter. It's been my income and my profession this is my 38th year doing it.
Wow.
Been a long time. And I've had some times where I just got so burnt out, I put the cameras down. The longest time was about 3 years, 4 years. And I can't get away from it. It's something that if I'm not doing photography, I am miserable, and it makes the people around me miserable.
One thing that was, I read that I heard somewhere that a newly comic, tweeted Chad Daniels and was like, "Hey, I'm an aspiring comic, blah, do you have any advice for me?" And he said, "Find something else that makes you happy besides comedy." And I found that very, yeah, you should. Photography is a hobby of mine, and I go through phases of it.
Yeah, you've got an excellent eye, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
I love looking at your work.
So yeah, and it's true. Like, I love when I get in the zone, like if I get a camera in my hand, it's hard for me to put it down.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, all right, I took this one, I can find a different picture or do this one from a different angle. You know how comics do it at mics in New York or something? They always do it from a different angle, then they go to another mic, then you work at it a different way and stuff. Yeah. I'm like that with photography. And so, yeah, I feel like I need to start taking pictures more because, I feel the same with comedy sometimes. Like, it just kills me sometimes where I have to take a break, but I don't want to take a break.
Yeah. I can see that. With me, I've been a fan of stand-up and of comedy of all kinds. I mean, since I was a little kid. I mean, as even before I was in school, but way back when the world was black and white, before color TV. I mean, watching like the Tonight Show with my dad when he'd get off work.
Yeah.
Not even understanding what was going on. I was 4, 5, 6 years old. I remember just sitting on his lap. He'd be sitting there drinking a cup of coffee after work. He worked nights. Yeah. So he'd get off work like at 10, 11 o'clock, come home, fire up his Pall Mall no filters in the living room, smoking a cigarette, drinking a cup of coffee, and we'd watch the news. Like, this would be like before I was in school, so I didn't have to get up, or like during summer vacation.
This was before school, and you remember it?
Yeah. What I remember is not necessarily what was going on. I remember the atmosphere of me sitting on my dad's lap.
Well, I mean, you remembered
the cigarette smoke.
Yeah, you remembered what kind of cigarettes he was
he
smoking.
smoked them for years. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah, that was his. And then just before he quit smoking, he cut back by going to marble filters. But he, certain senses get clicked. The smell of coffee to this day reminds me of my dad. When I smell somebody's clothes that, from, when they're smoking, it just clicks something that because my dad was a lifelong smoker. He started when he was like 12 or 13. But he, he'd sit there and we'd watch the news, and then we would watch the Tonight Show, Johnny Carson at the time.
Yeah.
And, I watched a documentary of Carson the other day on Hulu, and it's amazing how that man influenced a whole generation of men in this country, from the way they dressed, Carson's mannerisms. I mean, we knew probably 10 of my friends growing up, their dads were like doing imitations of Carson. That's what they did, from the plaid jackets. They all smoked. They all had that little click of the head, like Carson did, the little nervous tics. And my dad was the same way. I mean, that was a whole generation of men in America were basically all doing Carson because he was that big of an influence on people. But I remember watching the comics and not even understanding what they were doing, just knowing that they were funny. And I enjoyed watching them. And then, that was a whole time frame of afternoon talk shows too. Mike Douglas. I remember watching Richard Pryor on the Mike Douglas show and the Merv Griffin show, and just loving watching comics, not ever having a thinking that I would want to do that, but just enjoyed watching them.
Same with me. I never thought about like, hey, I might want to try that.
My favorite portions of those shows wasn't even watching the stand-up. It was watching them panel, sitting on the couch after, talking. And that was always my favorite portion of the show, was when they would sit there after their bits and just talk to the host, not knowing now, because now I'm pretty much addicted to podcasts. I love listening to them. But the vast majority of the ones I listen to are hosted by comedians.
Hold your
A little closer.
Yeah. Or like move when you turn your head, turn the mic too.
I'll level it later. It's sound engineer. Get them headphones off. But I enjoyed watching the segments when they would just talk after, and in my eyes, that's kind of what podcasts are now. Yeah. They're the conversation after the bits. Those are the ones I enjoy most. One of my favorites is Greg Fitzsimmons. He's coming to Tempe Improv in December in a couple of weeks. Actually, I'm going to try and go. But that's he's one of my favorites to listen to. Steve Simone, like we talked about, Good Time Show is one of my favorites.
I love That's Deep Row. Like
is that Christina?
Yeah, Christina Przezinski.
Yeah.
And I like it because it's not comedy. She's a comedian that goes deep into issues that everyone has. And I think that's awesome because there's not, I don't know. It grabs, like, I mean, Joe Rogan, he does the same, but he goes on for a long time, and he's kind of intense on his
I'm
subject.
afraid to start listening to the Joe Rogan Experience for that reason. Because they're
so long?
They're 4 hours long, and I love long podcasts. Ari Shaffir's, when his go 2.5, 3 hours. Kreischer's, when he goes, Bert Kreischer's, basically it's 45 minutes of a Blue Apron commercial, followed by a podcast. But he's funny. I really enjoy his show. But I like the long ones, and Rogan is like the king of those. And everybody that I listen to praise Rogan as being one of the best, if not the best podcast out there. And that's what I'm afraid of, because every once in a while I'll catch clips on YouTube or I'll specifically watch a bit or a segment with somebody that I enjoy watching. And I could see myself, if I started listening to Rogan on a regular basis, I would probably not leave the house for months, because I would just fall down that rabbit hole. And that would be all I would do. My phone would just be jam-packed with podcasts of his.
Like you're binge watching.
Exactly.
Listening.
I'm an addictive personality to begin with, so.
Yeah, that's how I am with, like, WoW, World of Warcraft. Because I was into video games and my degree's in video games.
Where'd you go to school?
ITT Tech.
Yeah.
That school that went bankrupt?
On TV?
Yeah. So that's great. That's cool.
So, what when you say your degree in video games, what in what, designing or what?
Yeah, digital entertainment and game design.
And what'd you do with that?
Nothing. Me and my friend started making the game, but he has a girlfriend and he works on the railroad.
A video game designer with a girlfriend?
I know, weird, right?
Man, I thought that's like a unicorn. You don't see those in nature.
He works for Pacific Union, and he was stationed up here.
Pacific, is it the railroad?
Yeah. And so he was stationed in Phoenix, and I live in Mesa, so he would come by my house, we'd work on the game, blah, blah, blah. Because he lives in Tucson.
Yeah.
So then he got stationed in California, and then all that stopped.
Oh.
Like, we kind of lost touch and stuff. And so that's how we just kind of stopped working on the game.
What was your plan going to ITT? What?
I had no plan. I was just like, all right, I need to go to college, whatever. So then I started going to college. Then I got a surgery done. I started going to Pima down in Tucson. Then I got a surgery done. Then I got a grant for school because of my disability.
Yeah.
So I started going to ITT Tech. I got my associates, and then I was like, this is stupid because I could go to Pima, learn.
What's Piedmont? I'm not.
Pima is a community college.
Whereabouts?
In Tucson.
Tucson.
And I was like, I could go to Pima and learn the same stuff for less.
Yeah.
But I told the people that gave me the grant and whatever, and they're like, no, if you switch, we're not paying for it.
Ah.
So I was like, I mean, all right, if you want to pay $90,000 for 4 years, go ahead. I don't care. I mean, I'm probably not going to do anything with it anyways. So I just
So that
finished.
was what the grant was for?
Yeah.
90 grand?
Yeah.
Man.
Apparently, I wrote this letter on about how...
Wait. Apparently you wrote a letter?
I don't remember doing it, but my parents told me. And I wrote this letter.
You think your mom wrote it for you?
Yeah, it could have been. But I wrote this letter to... They're called vocational rehab, and they help people with disabilities either do job training or go to school. And so I chose to go to school. And so apparently I wrote him a letter. I kind of remember doing it because I'm telling you what it's about. So apparently I did it.
maybe you just read it.
But I wrote him a letter about how I have a disability, and I have a physical disability, and I can't do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to go to school for video games, because when I play video games, I can do these things I can't do in real life.
Gotcha.
So it was touching apparently, and they gave me the grant, and so I went to school, and they paid for it. I didn't have to pay anything.
Nice. Well, and what's your disability?
Muscular dystrophy.
What? What? Educate me on that.
Okay.
I mean, I know. I used to do work for March of Dimes.
I don't know who that is. Should I know? I don't know a whole lot about my disability, but what I will
Jerry
tell
Lewis
you.
Telethon?
Oh, I know Jerry. Yeah, he's my dad.
It's the March. Sorry, he died. I'm sorry to hear about the loss of your father.
But
I used to photograph the telethon every year.
Okay. But so the only thing I know is there's like 300 different kinds.
Oh,
and the worst kind is Duchenne. Did you ever watch? You know who Jim Jeffries is, right?
Yeah.
You ever watch Legit?
Yeah. His buddy?
Yeah. His friend had Duchenne, which is the worst kind of MD. You see signs at age 6. By age 8, you're in leg braces. By age 10, you're in crutches. No, it's the other way around. Age 8, you're in crutches. Age 10, you're in leg braces. I don't know, it's something like that.
It just gets progressively.
Right.
But pretty quick, though.
Right. Age 18, you're in a wheelchair.
Wow.
The life expectancy is, I think, 25.
Wow.
And the only reason I know that is because I found out that they were experimenting with Viagra to improve that disability because it keeps the blood flow.
Improve the disability or just improve the quality of life while you're sick?
I don't know, but I mean, they're
Circulation
experimenting with it. right? And so that's how I know about that.
Well, we're rooming together this weekend. You're not planning on experimenting this weekend, are you?
No.
Okay, good. Just checking.
I'm not.
You're not in that beta testing?
No.
Okay. I was gonna have to book another room.
To be honest, we don't actually know what kind of MD I have. We have just done the process of elimination and narrowed it down to like 4.
Now, when I mean, is this something that you were born with? Is it something? When did your family first become aware?
I was born with it. Probably. We don't know.
Yeah.
I was diagnosed at age 2.
2. Okay.
That's why I say I was probably born with it.
Yeah.
I was so skinny that because my parents were vegetarian too, and this was in the early 90s when people had no idea what MD was, and they thought like being a vegetarian was like, why would you do that to yourself? You know, why would you treat your body like that? So my parents were afraid that CPS was going to take me away because I was so skinny. And so they thought my parents were like not feeding me, when really I just had a disability that people didn't know about. There's some people that I'd be like, you know what you gotta do is just feed him ice cream and steak and stuff, and he'll just beef right up. He'll get muscle, and you'll have no worries about that disability. It'll be gone, because you know everyone knows about shit you have.
Yeah,
so better than you. So yeah, there was. I mean, I was as skinny as I am right now. I was a pretty fat baby.
Now, so what kind of, how did it manifest itself when you were growing up? What were some of the things that you had to do that other kids didn't, or the other way around? When did it start impacting you at school and things like that? From the get-go?
I remember in like 2nd grade, me and this other boy liked this girl. I remember her name was Ariel. I think it was Ariel. And I go, hey, I said something like, hey, why don't you like me, or something. And at the time, she was on the other boy's shoulders. And she was like, because you can't do this. And I mean, it didn't really bother me because I was a kid at the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's that. I can't really run. You know, if I run, it's kind of like a brisk walk. I had a tricycle when I was a kid. I didn't have a bicycle. I had a tricycle. I mean, that's pretty. Yeah, I couldn't run. I couldn't really like roughhouse or anything. I swear there was a time where my mom, I wanted to play soccer, and the teacher said something like, your mom doesn't want you to play soccer or something. But I've asked her, and she's like, I didn't say that.
Oh.
I'm sure she's lying.
That was the teacher just not wanting to take responsibility if you got hurt.
That could have been it. That could have been the case. Yeah, that's, that was it, I guess. Nothing.
So how's it affecting you now? I mean, as far as...
Well, I live with my grandpa, and I live on the 2nd story, so that kind of sucks, because I have to climb them every day, but at the same time, because whenever I have to walk upstairs, it's kind of like, yeah, I hate this, but it's also like exercise.
Yeah.
I walk on the treadmill, I do calf raises, I swim from time to time, like, I don't know, like 5 times a year.
Oh.
It affects me. I carry a stool around because a lot of places have elevated stages. Obviously, that's why it's a stage. And it's too high for me to get up on, so I have to take a step and put it there to get up on it. And it always amazes me when I've known someone for like 6 months and they see me with my step and they're like, what's that? Why do you need a step? And they don't get that I can't.
They just thought you were drunk every time they saw you.
Yeah, I've gotten that. I've been not let into bars because they thought I was drunk. One time, there was one time when
I have too. That's happened to me too. But
well,
I was
were you drunk?
Yeah.
Well, but there was one time when they told me not to go in, and I was like, all right, whatever, I'll leave. Apparently, my sister was upset, but I don't care. Then another time, this guy was like, hey, I think you've had too much to drink. And then I was like, dude, I have a disability. And then at that point, he was like, yeah, I've heard this shit. Just go in. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to look stupid, like in front of these people or something. Just go in. So I went in. I was fine. I had like maybe one or two. I got pulled over coming back from House Comedy in Phoenix. And I got pulled over. I had Rob Maybe and Dustin Rounds in the car with me. Yeah. And I got pulled over, and this cop is like, first off, apparently I didn't get all the way off the road. So he had to radio out of his car and be like, hey, pull all the way over. So first off, it's not looking good. But he comes up to the car and first thing he goes, hey, I think you're DUI. Get out. I want you to take the test. So I go, okay. So as I'm getting out, I'm telling this cop, I go, hey, I have a physical disability. I can't do all this stuff you want me to do because it gives me bad balance. And he goes, okay, what do you have? And I go, I have muscular dystrophy. And right out of the gate, he goes, oh, no problem. I know exactly what that is, which was complete bullshit.
I was going to say, nobody does.
Yeah, because like I have it and I don't even know what it is. I just know it makes me weak. So like that's not true. So he goes, okay, go stand over there. I'm going to go back to my car, to regroup or whatever, which he was probably Googling it to find out what it was or something. Because I just eliminated like 90% of the test. So he comes back, and he, has the pen with the light on it. And he goes, follow this pen. And he does that for a while. Because he has to make sure, like, I got to make it seem like I'm doing something. Yeah. And this is all I can do. So I'm going to do it for like 3 minutes. A long time. So he does it for a while. Then he points the pen at me. And goes, open your mouth. I don't know. Maybe this is routine or something. But so I open my mouth.
Your mouth.
Yeah, and he's in there for again. He's in there for a good like
checking
2
for
minutes.
Tartar or what?
And he goes, "When was the last time you had spicy food?"
What?
Yeah, right. And I'm like, never. I was like, I don't know. I hate spicy food though. And I go, why? And he goes, could you have these white bumps on your tongue? And that either means you've been drinking, or you've had spicy food,
or you have herpes.
And I took a second, and I thought about it, and I was like, "Do you mean my taste buds?" and then he was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot those were in there." Yeah, never mind. And
you have these little white blocks in your mouth.
Yeah.
You mean my teeth?
Yeah, you got these two things in the back of your tongue, on your esophagus. That's weird. They look like two punching bags, So those are weird. I don't know. But then he let me,
So
he let me go with a warning.
It sounds like your real disability is that you're a bad driver.
Yeah, I've been told that. They're like, actually, I told my mom not too long ago because I told her like the 101 or the 10 or something is under like the worst top 10 highways to drive on or something. And I was kind of like, because I kind of have a delay on when I hit the brake because of my disability. And I'm like, I'm surprised I've never been in an accident on the 10 or whatever. And so now she's thinking, so when are you going to realize you should stop driving because your disability is getting too progressive? And I'm like, Mom, that was a fucking joke. Like, I wasn't being serious on, like, I might die. I was just trying to make a little joke.
Yeah.
That was it.
So is it getting progressively
It's slowly.
stronger? Yeah.
Slowly gets progressive. But, I mean, it's...
that's We're all like that, though. We're all progressively getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
For me, it's gravity.
Yeah, that's mine too. The way I describe my disability sometimes is I'm a fat person in a skinny person's body. Because like I have a hard time going upstairs and getting up. When I fall down hard and kind of fast. Yeah, it's just I can't run. I can't run and stuff. So, yeah, that's how I describe it.
So what do you do now work-wise?
I work for people with disabilities, autism. It's a place called Seeds for Autism. And since I have a disability, I've been doing this my whole life. I kind of just fell into it, which is weird because people with disabilities piss me off because they constantly complain about shit. Constantly, and I hate it. Because when I run into people that I can do something and they can't, that blows my mind. Because I have the biggest reason not to do something. And it's just like, I read something, like there's some stupid video on Facebook that said, that was like, it was about how our society's lazy and that our education sucks and whatever. And it's something like 2/3 of Americans don't know how to sew on a button. And I was like, how is that possible? I mean, is that not shocking to you?
No,
that's kind of shocking to me. Because, like, at the place that I work at, Seeds for Autism, we teach job-related skills for people with autism. Like, practical job-related skills.
Yeah.
Wood turning, we have sewing, we have weaving, we have metals. We make some people with autism weld and use a hammer and use the forge and stuff. Ceramics. I'm the computer instructor. We have, like, a home goods department where we make soap and chapstick and tea and stuff like that. So the other day, I ripped my comforter, and it was one of the ones that actually had like feathers in them.
Yeah.
So like there's some feathers that came out and went on over my room. But within 5 minutes, I took out my sewing kit and I was sewing it back together. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people would be like, "Oh, it's broken. Like, I'll just buy a new one." And I just, no, fix your shit. Like, don't just give up. So. Yeah,
I'm amazed at, because I do a lot of, I do, and I have for a number of years, do a lot of work with schools.
Yeah.
Doing photos at them, shooting teams and sports and stuff. And I remember being very shocked. And this is quite a few years ago, I want to say late 80s, early 90s, when I was coming in contact with kids who couldn't tell time on anything but a digital clock.
Yeah.
And to me, that was astounding. My nephew, at the time, who's now 30, 31, 32, I don't know how old he is. But I remember when he was like in junior high.
Right.
And he couldn't tell time looking at a regular clock.
My shocking moment was when I was outside of a comedy club, and the kid taking the ID, he was 21. Checking IDs and stuff. Yeah. And I go, "Hey," I totally forgot his name, but I go, "Hey man, that guy looks like Larry Bird." And he goes, "Who's Larry Bird?" Yeah, and I'm like, "Dude, you have a peanut. How would you not know who Larry? Like, I don't listen to classical music, but I still know who Frank Sinatra is."
It's not classical.
It's not classical?
No.
Piano, whatever.
Classical. God damn it. Like Beethoven. Sinatra's just old music.
I just made myself look really. Dude, don't crash the car from laughing so much.
I get pulled over. I knew a guy. You're talking about getting pulled over. I knew a guy. He used to drink so much.
Yeah.
And drive so much. He just carried a cane with him in his car, one that he bought at a Goodwill store. So if he got pulled over, he'd grab it from the back seat and get out and go, I can't do the walk a straight line. I can't do the balance. I got a bum hip, and he would. That was his
Did that
excuse.
work?
It did a few times. But yeah, he would just carry. This is the same guy who, whenever he moved, when he had to move different places, he would go scout them out first, like different apartments and stuff.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't do anything. He had to go upstairs because he was just anticipating. No, I'll be coming home too drunk. I'm not going to be able to make it up them stairs.
Oh yeah, that's
I got to be able to park somewhere close by, so I remember where I parked. That was his whole deal. Is he would build his life around him being drunk and how he would maneuver his life around.
That's awesome.
It's like, oh my goodness.
You know, when I go to the mics, the thing I'm worried about the most is how I'm going to get up on stage.
Really?
And in comics go, that's you're pretty you're like, how is that the only thing you're worried about? Is getting on stage. Like, I'm worried about being funny and stuff, but you're over here and the only thing you're worried about is getting on stage. And so and then also a lot of comics, they find it baffling how I can go to a club and not drink. They're like, how does that even happen? Because a lot of them they'll have like 3 beers or something.
You know, I've talked to a lot of different comics and heard a lot of them talking about, you know, there's some guys who just build their whole night around not even, you know, getting just blasted, but, you know, having a drink, carrying one on stage, having 1 beer between shows or whatever. But then, you know, and I could see that, you know, just as a little relaxation or just kind of being in the mood of being in the club kind of thing.
Right. And
then there's others who say, and they're not even sober guys. It's just about, no, I don't drink at the club because that's where I'm going to work.
Right.
Do you know, you're an accountant. Do you have a cocktail sitting on your desk during the workday?
Right.
This is my job. I don't. To each his own, I guess. But
yeah, I'm the same way. At Big Pine this year, I went up drunk, and I was kind of disappointed in myself because when they asked me, I was like, yeah, I can go up, I can still do this, and then I got up there and I was like, oh, I can't.
What show was it?
It was at where'd you do your photo shoots? Was that South Side?
South Side, yeah.
Yeah, it was there.
That was a cool little spot.
Yeah, it was a cool little spot. And
have you been up at Fire Creek?
Yeah, I've been up there. Those stairs.
I was going to say, how's that stage?
The first time I went up, you know, it was weird. I didn't get accepted to the festival, which I didn't care about, but Big Pine, they shot a comedy calendar that they sold at the festival. I was in the calendar.
Oh, you were in it?
I was in it. So I was on the calendar.
What month?
February. Me and my friend Joe, we did a Lady and the Tramp thing. We both dressed up as dogs, getting jammy.
Yeah, he's what's his podcast?
The Drunk
Barroom Heroes?
Yeah, I don't know.
With Kevin
Elliott.
Yeah.
And
I met him for the first time down there this year. I've been hooked up with him on Facebook.
Who, Kevin?
I've met Kevin before, but Joe, first time I ever met him. I love that guy, man.
Dude, he's
solid guy.
I love Joe. He's awesome.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. So you guys are in February doing Lady and the Tramp?
Yeah, we both dressed up as dogs, and his wife made fake spaghetti. So she put yarn and Jell-O, and it looked like real spaghetti.
Why didn't you just use spaghetti?
I don't know. She didn't want to waste spaghetti or something.
She wasted yarn instead.
But anyways, they had a show for all the people in the calendar, which I was on the show.
Yeah.
I think I was the only one in the on that show that wasn't accepted to the festival. So it was just kind of weird how I wasn't accepted to the festival, but I was on a show in the festival.
Interesting.
I don't know.
What? Now, you were there. Did you? How many years have you gone to Big Pine?
2. I was accepted the first year.
The first year?
Yeah, and then this year I wasn't accepted.
Were you not on the second year?
No.
Because this was the third.
No. Oh, well, then it was second and third then.
Second and third. You didn't go to the first?
No.
Okay, yeah, that's because I was there second and third as well. I was trying to go to the first to do pictures with, Ryan and I had talked Stalder, but I wasn't able to make it. I had a conflict on schedule. Loved them both years, but this year was quite a bit different. I enjoyed it a lot as far as the workshops and stuff.
Yeah, it was different people.
Yeah,
doing
Jack and Hillary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but I was very impressed. Not to take anything away from how Ryan did it, because it was an excellent show. He had great people helping him out and organizing, including Jack and Hillary. But it was basically performance, a lot of good hangs, some great parties. But it was just a lot of shows, a lot of stage time. And the way Jack and Hillary specifically, and Jack, of course, helping out, and John Carden, we mentioned him earlier.
Right, yeah.
All the folks that were helping out and organizing it, the way it was presented with workshops, social media workshops. Brant Tobler, who we're going to see this weekend, he did his podcasting one with Ari Manis and Kevin Elliott. They did it together, the three of them. But there was just so much content instead of just a great place to hang, great place to get some good stage time and some great shows, which they had that as well. I felt, just as an outsider watching it, not a comic watching it, I thought there was so much more that the comics were able to take away from it.
Yeah.
And the way they opened it up too to any comic in the Arizona to be able to go in as well and have entrance to the festival.
Yeah, I talked to Jack and I was like, it's really cool. Like I was talking about like work or whatever, and he's like, it's mainly Hillary. Like she's just organized and all this stuff, and so. But I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from Jack. I'm just saying that's what he told me.
No, and he's the first to admit she's got such great vision, but you can't implement that if you don't have people that you could trust to oversee that and to make sure it happens. And Jack was, the trust she has in Jack, obviously not just from the festival, but just in personal life and everything in general. I've sat and talked to both of them. I had Jack on the show before, but just his follow through was incredible. I felt bad because we were up late that Friday night back at the room, and I set my alarm because I had to be at Southside to do those pictures Saturday morning. I was supposed to be there at 10:30 to start shooting at 11. Or no, I was supposed to be there at 10 to start shooting at 10:30.
Hey, there's Kingman. You gotta pee?
You gotta stop?
You gotta pee?
No.
I'm just saying because that's why people go to
too. We can hit
Kingman.
The gas station.
No, I don't have to do anything. I was just saying that's why people go to Kingman is to pee.
That's the only reason?
Yeah.
But I was rooming with Paul Goebbels, and I crash out at probably 4:30. And
you're saying that like it's early. I feel like
no, I was up way too late, and I set my alarm for like 9:30.
At least you remember when you went to bed. And getting home.
No, I was fine. I wasn't partying. We were just up. We were talking. We went in a very late Jack in the Box run at the 24-hour Jack in the Box down the street.
There's a Primus. There's a hot dog place down there.
Oh,
Southside,
right next to Southside.
Oh my God,
I was staying on the other side of town.
Oh,
we were at the Days Inn, and
we were at the America's Inn. America's Greatest or something.
Was that the hostel?
No.
No.
It was. It's some hotel.
Oh, nice.
America's Best, I think.
So, my phone rings, and I'm thinking I just fell asleep, and I look, and it's Jack. I go, why is Jack calling me at 5 o'clock in the morning? And then it goes to voicemail. I figure, well, I'll just wait and see a voicemail because he might have butt dialed me or something.
Right.
And the room's all dark, so I'm thinking it's, I'm thinking I just fell asleep. A few minutes later, the phone rings again. It's Jack. I answer the phone. He goes, "Hey, are you on your way down?" And I look at the clock. It was 10:45. I was like, "Yep, I'm on my way." I got down. That's when you were out there too. We were out there shooting the pictures.
Yeah.
And we got caught up within a half hour, so it wasn't a big deal. But I felt bad because he's running around like crazy, making sure everything runs right. And I should be like the last thing he has to worry about.
Yeah, you really up there.
Nah, it was all right.
I don't remember how I got home Friday night. I don't. Let's see, I think I was at Green Room. No, actually, I don't know where I was. Maybe I was at Green Room, and then someone was like, "Yeah, I remember you getting into like a cab or something." So I looked, I took a lift. So I looked at my phone, and I looked at the Lyft driver's name. I forget who he was. And so I had the Lyft driver like the following night. So I kind of had to piece back like, "Hey man, how drunk?"
Oh, you had the same guy?
Yeah, the next night. So I was like, "Hey man, how drunk was I last night?" And he was like, like a 6.
I don't know. I just thought you had MS.
That's MS. A lot of people get that confused. But it's MD. Okay. But, so I kind of had to piece back, like the Hangover, I had to find clues and shit. And I was rooming with Ben Anderson. And
He's
then,
a funny guy, too.
Yeah, and then Jeremy Ditto came up later. And he was sleeping on our floor. And so he was like, "Yeah, we came back that night and you were just passed out on the floor. You had 2 empty beds next to you, but you were passed out on the floor." And then Jeremy's like, "And then we got you and put you in the bed." But I was thinking like, "Hey, there's a bed right here. I could just sleep in the bed. I mean, you're already passed out on the floor. Why do we have to pick you up and put you in the bed? Why couldn't I just sleep in the bed?" And so,
That's funny.
It was actually kind of scary.
Where are we at on time there?
50 minutes?
Oh, sheesh. All right, we'll wrap it up. Let's plug up where, again, talk about Spinellis, what other places people can see you.
The rest stop in Kingman because I'm about to pee.
But that's not a free gig. That's a pay.
Let's see.
There's an admission cost there. And then your social media, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff.
So December 14th, I'm going to be at Crescent Ballroom on This Week Sucks tonight at 11.
It's on a Thursday, every Thursday at Crescent.
Every Thursday at Crescent. On December 28th, that's also a Thursday at 7:30. I'm going to be at Third Space. December 12th, I think. No, December 19th, I'm going to be at House of Comedy. I'm going to be there. Spinellis every Thursday at 9:30. And
social
then,
media, Instagram?
Justin Tietjen.
Spell your last name, please.
Oh, yeah. Tietjen.
And how many other Justin Tietjens are there?
Dude, I met one in L.A. not too long ago.
No, there's a few on Facebook.
Yeah, one's a friend of mine, and he asked me, and he goes, "Hey man, what's the nationality of your last name?" And I was always told it was Dutch, so I was like, "It's Dutch," but I was like, "I don't really know," and so he said it was Norwegian. His was
Isn't
Norwegian.
That the same thing?
I don't,
it's like MS
and
MD. It's the same thing, isn't it?
So now
Pop told me one time.
So now it's Norwegian, I guess. Until I find out it's something else. But yeah, I also have a Justin Tietjen on friends on Facebook that I've never really talked to, besides what nationality is your last name. And then I met one in LA, a Jack Tietjen. And that was that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to this weekend. It's going to be fun. I love seeing Brant Tobler perform. I love his storytelling. I'm going to plug in and talk with him at some point. I don't know what his schedule is going to be like.
Do we have any plans?
Huh?
Other than that, do we have any plans of doing anything?
No, I will figure out when we get there. Like I said, if he's depending on what his schedule's like, we'll either record tonight or tomorrow.
Okay.
And he's performing both nights. I figured we'd try and hang out both.
Oh,
Or not.
that'd be awesome.
It's all loose.
I would love to go to Brad's place.
Yeah. And then he wanted some pictures too, so that'll be cool. All right. Well, Justin, thanks. We're about ready to pull over and pee. This is the Route 66 version of Mile High Show. All right. We'll probably plug in at some point later. Thanks. Well, that was it. That was 160 with Justin Tietjen on the road on I-40 and Route 66 on our way to Vegas. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, I apologize for the lateness of the episode, so disregard those shows at the Crescent and at House of Comedy AZ in Phoenix because they have already passed. But don't forget, every Thursday night at 9:30 at Spinellis Pizza on Mill Avenue, you can catch Justin's show, the one that he produces, with some of the best in local comedians and an open mic to follow. That's Spinelli's every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. in Tempe. And follow Justin on his Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook pages so you can find out what's going on in Mr. Tietjen's life and where he's on stage and behind the mic. Don't forget, please use that Amazon link at milehighshow.com. It's a way that we can pay for things like these trips, these road trips, and get out and interview the local artists and performers that we feature on this show. Also on milehighshow.com is a link for Audible, where you can get a free audio download, a choice from over 180,000 titles, everything from novels, books, lectures, magazine articles, podcasts, original comedy content. You can use the code MileHigh at checkout and get a free download and a free 30-day subscription just by using that code MileHigh at checkout at audible.com. Don't forget our BarkBox link as well. You can get free treats for your furry friends. And remember, happy pets make happy homes. Use that BarkBox link at milehighshow.com so that we don't have to show up at your house and borrow money. Thanks, Justin, for sitting down with me and making that road trip, and we will talk at you soon. Get your kicks on Route 66.